Welcome to this video. My name is Cody Munn. Today I'm going to show you how I use the Korg Wavestate to create a linear stinger. We're going to be using a patch called Haunted Mansion. I'm going to live perform it and record it on camera, and then I'm going to show you the individual levels in Logic and the summing level and the integrated loudness. So I'll show you the patch, the sound of it, footage of Resident Evil HD. Now the footage I made with Resident Evil, I made on the Switch using 30-second clips that I've stitched together, and I played the game with the music off and the sound effects on. And this is how I've been learning to integrate my ideas, scoring using this film scoring approach with the sound effects in context, because that's how we work on games. That's how I worked on Creatures of War, my first indie survival horror game, and I've been exploring the Wavestate, practicing and aiming to record it better, but also in context. Our original ideas have purpose. I really believe that, and I want to show that here. Let's jump into the synthesizer, let's score to this footage, and then I'll take you into the computer and show you exactly how these levels summed up. Let's get it. Here we go. Okay, so I improvised that in real time, just looking over my shoulder at the footage because I got the synth here all hooked up here. I'm going to do a second take of that. I feel like I could have sustained the states where Jill was just running through the hallway a little bit more with a single note, but I'm using a G minor triad here to make the stinger. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing like an inversion, B flat in the bass in the right hand. It's creating that stinger flare thing, which in this patch, Haunted Mansion, I have all the layers activated, A, B, and D. If I go to A, layer A is the haunted effects, and then B is the Haunted Vox 1, and D is Vox 2, Haunted Vox 2. So I have all three interweaving into each other. I'm just using the vector position in the middle it's just weaving through them all pretty evenly. I have the mod wheel all the way down, which seems to make the sound less muffled and muddy, I've noticed. And I have the octave down, and I'm making sure I'm playing that cluster and that chord higher up in that lower octave. I learned actually that because I was doing this stinger thing by mashing down 10 to 12 keys at the same time, the synthesizer's not designed to handle that. It wasn't my signal path or my gain staging or my summing level. It was the fact that the synthesizer can't handle 12 keys being mashed at the same time with this patch focusing back in. Here, I just learned to do cleaner chords, right? So for that big, when the Crimson Head comes to life and tries to attack Jill and she takes him out. Something like that. I got B minor triad, a B flat in the bass, and I got G octave in the bass. And sometimes I'll put that F sharp, getting this cluster in here, and then during that time, I actually did experiment with the pitch wheel. The pitch wheel to bring, kind of bring a little bit of mod there as well to bring the pitch down. So that's basically what I'm doing. Let's do another take and see if we can improve on that first take. Now that we understand what the footage is and the approach, and we learned by experiencing, right? We got to experiment, record, evaluate, make a decision, and then we can do another take. It's only a minute, so let's do another one. I understand how I want to improve this take. I'm going to make the state of Jill just running through the hallway single note, and when I see something happening in real time, I'm going to weld the sound up with additional notes, but then when she's being attacked by the Crimson Head, I'm going to hit that chord and make it a little bit more extreme, and then when things settle down, I'll bring it back down to single note. I want that note I want this sustaining through the doorway, and I want when she's attacking things to swell up. When she gets that critical headshot on that zombie near the end, that's when things will swell up, and then but we're always maintaining a consistent state. And I'll talk more about that after I do this take. So let's get it. Okay, there we go. So I did like some of the things I did there. We'll look at it more in depth when we go into the computer. I kind of broke the rule when Jill came through the door the second time into the next room, or I just kind of like flared it up a bit and then kind of came back down. I used the pitch wheel towards the end before she used that key. It's just picking up on little cues from the visual, right? That's something when you're working on a game, when the developer's sending you footage that's in development, or it's either, pretty in development, or it's like further along in development, and there's effects there, and there's context, there's gameplay, good gameplay. That's why I'm using Resident Evil HD, because it's one of my favorite, most inspired games, but it's so advanced in its gameplay that it's teaching me to conform to that standard, right? And then when I work with the developer that's just developing their game, I have the expertise as the composer to understand how I can serve the game developers. So one thing that these games have is a dynamic engine, right? Most indie games don't have that luxury of that dynamic engine. It's very linear, right? So me composing in real time, I'm simulating that dynamic engine by swelling up and swelling down, right? The advantage to this is that I can take this skill and go, okay, I'm going to make a linear track that's just the single note, and that can run singular in this less complex engine for an indie game developer, like Creatures of War, for instance. And then I can have a bigger thing that sustains out a little bit more, and then I can in real time bleed those two tracks into each other. So that's something I want to share more on this channel as well, and help and share that with you guys as well. One thing to note is that I've been working on this video for like a week recording this thing, and I've learned a lot from doing it, and that's how I'm able to do this video right now. So I want to share that with you guys and inspire you guys and motivate you guys to record yourself composing, working on composing, learning, experimenting. Record yourself, check your levels out, record yourself on camera, experiment, and get to know yourself as a composer, because I'm all alone here. You're probably all alone too. You're watching videos, you're consuming videos. Find somebody that you can listen to or get inspired by. Take that information and then go into the shed and work on your composing. Record yourself. Find something you love, a patch that you're passionate about. A single patch like this has taught me so much. A single idea, a simplified idea from one source, the Korg Wavestate, has taught me to get my levels right, understand my signal path, my signal chain, my target levels that I want to go for with enough headroom, without any distortion or anything, because this is a digital sound from a digital synthesizer, and that's a whole other story I explore in other video that I'm making. I've learned to get a better level these last few days, so that's why I can make this video. Let me show you what the levels are, because they're pretty decent. You can learn a lot from single ideas. That's why they're so important, right? Let's jump into the computer. Okay, let's dive into the computer and check our summing levels here and our individual levels. So for take 3, the last one we did take 2 and take 3. Take 1 was for a short I already did, the experiment, and then this longer form video is take 2 and 3. So we did take 2, and then we did 3. So we liked 3. I liked it. Let's just check the levels first. We're sitting at about -8 for the XLR signal, the first signal. The right signal, -17, and the through signal, -14. So I'll put some B-roll in here of my signal path, and you'll see that I go from left and right outside of the wave state. Left mono is going into the compressor, which is just tightening and boosting that signal slightly. It actually does do a lot for the sound. Actually, it's quite surprising, actually. That is going into a passive DI box and going out to XLR into channel 1 of the Tascam. And from that DI box, I have a through signal going into channel 3 on the Tascam, and right output of the wave state is going directly into channel 2 of the Tascam. For this video right now, I'm only recording in Logic. I'm not recording into the Tascam. I will explore that in another video. So individual track target value should be -12, between -12 and -18 dB. We're pretty good there. Going back to the signal chain on the source, which is the wave state, I'm at about 3 o'clock on the volume. And on my gain inputs, I'm just about at 3 o'clock on my gain preamp on the Tascam. So that's why I'm getting these levels in Logic. Also, the summing value of all 3, because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're summing all 3 signals up. It's pretty strong. Like, I'll barely have to do anything to it, really. I mean, it is floating around. We've done a linear track where I've gotten louder and softer. So, like, that's a whole other topic of, like, should I compress it? What should I do with it? There is headroom. It's loud and clear. It's got a lot of loudness. And then, obviously, in context with the effects and the footage. Right? Like, it's super loud. It's plenty loud. So if I just get rid of those effects. if I go to the first take we did, well, take 2. If I look at that and look at that part, I'll bring this footage down so we can kind of look at when that linear moment happens. Jill comes around the corner and the Crimson Head gets up. I like that one more, actually. Let's listen to it in context with the effects. It's quite loud. It's good and loud. It's not, I mean, it's peaking at -2. This is a really powerful summed signal. And as you can see, I haven't panned or done anything. I haven't done any panning, any volume. I could balance this out a lot more, smoother. Like, I don't need it to be that loud. Maybe I want it to be a little less loud, and then I add a little compression to it. But maybe I could pan right and through left and keep the XLR DI signal, which is the strongest, directly in the middle, right? Like, I have options, right? All 3 of these signals I've recorded simultaneously give me options, right? But all 3 of them, without doing anything, not even post-processing, is already at such a strong, healthy level, right? And I've done all this in context to the effects in the footage. A linear track with ups and downs, right? So if I was composing to a game, I could go, okay, well, I like this calm state. Let me just make that its own track. I like the stinger thing. Let me make that its own track. And then I've got separate tracks that I can bleed into each other, simulating dynamic engine in a budgeted indie game, right? That's exactly what I did for Creatures of War. So let's look at this in context with the effects. That's really cool. Like, if you look at the, I don't have the waveform zoom on. I'll turn it on now. Like, you can see how strong this is. If you look at this part where the volume swells up with that stinger, like, it's really cool because I looked at the footage, and when the Crimson Head gets up, that's when the whole thing swells up. That's really cool. Like, imagine, I mean, one day I hope I can work for a AA, AAA developer and learn how to work within a dynamic engine that is layered, where like there's like things in your track turning on and off, and that stinger could result in real time because the game engine's like, oh, that powerful enemy, that unique situation has happened in a hallway where you've gone through there 10 times and now this thing's coming alive. That's a special event that the engine's like, okay, this stinger will activate, on and off, there's on and off switches. That thing's technically always there, but because that thing's happening, that special state is happening, I've learned to simulate that on a budget, right? So I would create separate tracks of this, but the purpose of me mocking up my own footage and creating my own footage, playing this game on my Switch without the music on and capturing all these moments to bring them in here, sew them together, bring them in here, make a video like this and show you in real time what I'm doing, is because I'm practicing. I'm getting to know my style. I'm honoring my idea. I like this patch. I want to use it in a game like this. I want to work on games like this. But I'm also like looking at my audio and understanding healthy levels, and I'm hitting my target. I'm hitting desired target values, integrated loudness, and summing values, right? If that's something you want to know more about, consider liking and subscribing this video and follow for more. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in this battle of understanding my ideas and recording them properly and making better recordings. That's the thing, is the recording doesn't lie, right? My mind can, my emotions can, but the recording doesn't. So let's make better recordings. Let's honor our ideas. Let's work on this stuff and get our music in indie games and serve the indie developers. So I hope you've liked this video. I hope you found it a little insightful. If you have, follow along for more. Check me out on Instagram. I do a lot more shorts and clips than you're going to see on YouTube. So you're going to see the longer stuff on YouTube. So thanks for being here. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I'll see you in the next video.